Hi there, it's Jan from JB Crafts, and I have project number 9 for you today. So we're back with the 12 Days of Christmas series for this year. Thoroughly enjoying getting through my Christmas projects, I must admit. So I've almost got like a 2 for 1 for you this morning, because I did a set of tags a few videos ago which you really liked, and I was going along the tag theme again today, but I thought, why not show you just a nice little gift bag, easy to make, and we can do them together to make a, sort of a gift with the two things in one. So the gift bag is really straightforward. You can make it out of any of your papers. It's just a piece of 12 by 12 paper that I've cut down slightly, and then the little gift tag I've just clipped on top of here rather than putting a handle on the bag. And it is only a narrow one, but there's room in there to drop, a nice chocolate bar or something, some soft small clothing, maybe a pair of gloves, a scarf, something like that. So yeah, really easy to do. And then all I've done is I've just used one of my little office clips there and just pegged that on the top to keep it closed. So it measures 8 inches tall, and it is 1¼ inch deep. So this was just measured to get it out of my sheet. It's 4½ inches, yeah, by 8, and this was to get it out of that 12 by 12 sheet. So let's get into the tutorial, and I'll show you how I've put this together. The little tag I'll do after I've done the gift bag. Again, just an option. You could always put an ordinary tag on this, doesn't have to be a decorated one. So yeah, we'll pop that over to one side, and the first thing that I'm going to do is a little bit of scoring. So I'm going to go with the alternative colorways. They're very similar papers, these. It's from my gingerbread pad that I bought. I think I've shown you this one in the last video. Really nice little pad. Again, I buy these in the works, £3.99. You can't go wrong, really. It's got all the different styles in it. It's got some beautiful ones. If you didn't see the last video, I'll just give you a quick flick through. Nice colour palette. The red has got some gorgeous glitter on it. We've got some foiling, and again, so many different styles and designs in there. This one's all glittered. So yeah, I've just picked a couple out of there. I've gone with the this pattern on the one that I've made, and then I'm going to go with almost, it's not quite the reverse because it's got slightly different icons on, but it's the same idea. So we're going to sort of go in reverse with this one today. So my piece of paper started out as just a 12 by 12 sheet from that pad, and I've kept excuse me, the 12 by 12 width. And then I've taken a piece off the top so that it measures 9¼ So this is going to be my 8 inch for the bag and the 1¼ inches for the depth of it. So let's just remove that one, and we'll do a little bit of scoring. So the scoring is pretty straightforward. We're going to do across the long side. Whoops. Just put that back in there. So I'm going to pop it in with the long 12-inch side across the top, and first of all I want to make a 1/2 inch tab, which is what we're going to fasten the bag together with. So I'm just going to come down at that 1/2 inch mark to start me off. Then I want one of the side panels, which we said was 1¼ inches. So if I add that on, that takes me to 1¾ inch. Then we want the front of the bag, which is going to be 4½ inches. So that takes me to 6¼ and then I'm going to add on another 1¼ for the other side, which takes me to 7½. And I'll pop you these measurements on in a second. And then the panel that's left here on this right hand side will be another 4½ inches. So I've got a front panel, side panel, a back panel, a side panel, and then the little 1/2 inch to fasten it all together. Okay, so that was those score lines. If you want to just pause the video or take a screenshot. So a 1/2 inch, 1¾ 6¼ and 7½ on that long side, and then it's just one simple score line across the bottom. So I've turned it with my little 1/2 inch tab here. Again, if it's a directional paper, make sure that it's facing the right hand side, and then I want to do the base the same width as the side. So I want 1¼ inches. That's all I need on this one, all the way down bottom edge, that long side here. So this is going to form the base of the bag. All right, so that's all the scoring. Fairly straightforward. You can make these pretty much any size you want. All I did, I got my ruler out and thought, right, you know, what's a realistic, you know, size? I was going to go 5 to start off with for the width of the bag. And then when I worked out the rest of the measurements, it would have made it very, very skinny. So using that 1¼ inches for the width gave me 2½ inches, and a ½ inch for the tab gave me the 9 inches left, and I've just halved it to get the 4½ inches for the width. So as I say, you can make these any size. It doesn't have to be this tall. You could make a long skinny one, you could make a short one, so lots of different ways of doing it. So I know the score lines are not that easy to see. I know 1 or 2 people asked if I could just draw them in, so let's just try that on this one, and I'll just do them very lightly with the pencil so that you can see where they are. So we've got that ½ inch line there. Then I put one in, I can barely see them myself now, here we go, to make that side panel. So this bit measures 1¼ Then we went all the way across to make that 4½ inches, and then we had another 1¼ and then I had the 1¼ inches across the bottom. So I'm hoping that that's a little bit easier. If I leave that down now, you can see maybe a little bit easier where we've got them. So we've got our ½ inch tab on this side. Then we've got that 1¼ inches for the depth of the bag. So that's going to be this part. Then I've got the 4½ inch panel for the front of it. Then another 1¼ for the other side, and another 4½ for the reverse of it. Okay. So what we're going to do then, we're just going to do a tiny bit of cutting. I don't need this bit just here. So we're going to take away that little rectangle. But before I do that, I like to pop the score lines, get them in and get them burnished. So again, I'm just going to fold this on the lines, and again making sure that when you fold it, it all folds nice and straight. Give that a burnish. We're then going to do that next one, and again making sure that it all folds nice and straight before you burnish it. It helps with putting it together at the end. I've got that little tiny ½ inch score line there at the end. Whoops. And then we've got the other 1¼ inches there. So again, just lining everything up and making sure it's straight. And then all the way across the bottom, we've got that long one going across the edge again. So just make sure I've got that on the actual score line. It's quite a thick paper, this one, for a paper pad, I must admit. There we go. So I've got all those in place now. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut away that little skinny rectangle. And I'm just going to notch it slightly because that is going to be my tab to close. And then where we've got that piece across the bottom, we want to literally free all those pieces up. So again, I'm just cutting down those score lines all the way across the bottom up to that one that we drew, that we did across. And then because these are going to be a little tab inside, I am just going to take a slight piece off the edge here, so that way it doesn't stick out when we fold it up at the bottom. So I'm essentially cutting that score line away just to create that little glue tab. Okay, so let's get rid of those spares. There's not much waste on this one either. So what we're going to do then is this will all fold together and stick together there at the back, and then we've got our pieces to create the base. And you can see you've got, you know, a decent sized little bag out of that piece of paper. If you want it taller, you don't need to cut the top off. You could leave it by the 12-inch length. If you want it shorter, you can adjust it that way. So what we're going to do first then is I wanted to decorate this top edge. Now this is brilliant. If you've got a double-sided paper, you can leave a section on the top to fold back. So if you see on this one, I've actually used the white base paper and I've put a sliver of this one across the top just to strengthen the top of the bag. And what I've done is I've done a double piece and folded it over the top of the bag just to give it a little bit of strength on that opening there. So I'm going to do the same. I had this piece that I'd cut off the top of the other sheet, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. So this was a piece that measured, let me have a look. What did it measure, Jan? I don't think I've written that one down. It measured about 1 3/4 inches. And I've scored it down the centre at 7/8 of an inch. And I've put the same score lines in as what I did on here. So we scored at 1/2 inch, at 1 3/4, at 6 1/4, and 7 1/2. So this has actually got the same dimensions as the bag. So you can see there, if we pop it all together, this is going to be like a little cuff that goes round the top of the bag and then folds inside. Now, just to get rid of some of the bulk, I am going to take away that top rectangle there. Okay, don't actually need that. That's going to fold inside, so it's just reducing the bulk. And then what I'm going to do is stick this straight over the top. Now, because I'm working and I want this to stick, normally I would use a wet glue, but I am going to pop some tape on here today just because I need it to stick pretty much instantly. So I'm just going to use a little piece of my double-sided tape, and I'm going to go all the way from the tab, and this is along that inside edge at the beginning, like so. I'll just get my little block there. And then I'm also going to run a piece along this opposite edge here. And as I say, I did this with wet glue when I made the original one, but it does take a couple of minutes for that glue to grab and start to cure. So I thought, right, we'll do this with tape on video because I know I'm going to get an instant stick with that one. Okay, there we go. So what I want to do then is I want to stick this side on the front here. So I'm going to take the liner off that inside, and then I'm going to line this up with that fold line. In fact, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to turn this over. So I've got my skinny one at the top and the little skinny one here at the top, and I want to pop this in just up to that score line. So I'm going to try and get it as straight as I can with the score lines in place, and just pop that in so that that one's going to fold over the top like so. Yep. And then we can take the tape off that side and just fold this inside. Like I say, if you've got a double-sided paper, this is much easier because you can just add however much you want to turn over onto the top here. So say you wanted to add another inch on here and then just fold it back over. But I've used the corresponding paper, and we should have those score lines matched up now to create the top of the bag there, like so. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to carry on with my tape. As I say, I used my collal glue for the majority of this when I popped it together for the sample, but just for speed here. Now then, has that bit got stuck down? I don't seem to remember. I didn't take the tape. Oh, I did. I must have took the tape to the end. Yep, I did. There we go. So just along this little 1/2 inch tab now, I'm going to pop some tape down there, and then just give that a tear. And we're going to take this one off, and then we can get that bag stuck together. So if we pop this one in, we should be able to fold this one over and just make sure that everything's lined up down there. Oops. Turn it that way, then I can see it a little bit better. So yeah, just lining up that outside edge like so, and then we can give that a press, and we've got the beginnings of our bag there. Okay, So all I need to do now is the base, and I am going to use the glue for the base purely because it is such a strong glue, and if I am going to put a gift in here, I don't want it to sort of start falling through the base of the bag. So I've got my join at the back here, so I'm going to use this as the front, and I like to put the back piece in first and then trap the little tabs so that you've got a nice neat finish inside. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue on the back of the tabs there that we created, like so, and just get those to tack down, and then we're going to put glue across that last piece there and get that one sealed, and that should cover the base there. Make sure that everything's running as straight as you can get it, and then I normally go in with a ruler or a bone folder or something that will reach down to the bottom so that you can apply a bit of pressure, spread that glue out, and then we've got our box pretty much good to go, or bag should I say. So you can see there we've ended up with an 8-inch height, we've got our 4.5-inch width, and we've got a 1.25-inch depth. So that is literally the gift bag. It's as simple as that. Now if you wanted to add some handles to this, you could punch the top of this and pop some ribbon or some twine through the top, but I didn't want to do that with this one. So all I'm going to do is just push it gently like this and squeeze it together, and then I'm literally just going to sort of give an impression that there is something. I haven't scored down that edge. I don't want it to go all the way to the bottom. I just want it to sort of go together like so. And then in my stash I have got a supply of the little office clips, so I thought that would be nice as a closure. And you may want to leave it there. You might want to put a sticky tag on it. You might want to decorate the front of it. As I say, there's lots of options with this one. So that was sort of the first half of the project. And then I am going to make the little tag to go on the front of it. But again, I'm going to go the opposite colourways. This one was the white background, so I did the brown tag. We've now got the brown background, so I'm going to go with a white tag on this one so that we've got sort of the opposite colour scheme. They're a little bit like a couple of twins. So I've got my little pot of tricks, and we've used, again, items that I've got in my stash. You know, some of these are from really old collections. This is a go-to set of tags that I use on a regular basis. So I've got all the bits on here that I've used again. And I've used the second largest one here, and it's got a little bit of stitch detail around the edge. And these are ones that I've had quite a while. I think these, the W I think stands for the works. I think these are the ones that I picked up, which is one of our local craft stores here in the UK. But any of your tags that you've got, any size, and if you don't have them, you can easily make tags. They don't have to have the fancy top. You can just have the traditional, you know, sort of snipped corners on them. So that was that one. And I've cut this twice. Wanted it to be really nice and, you know, sort of decent thickness. So I've cut it twice in my 300 GSM cardstock, stuck them together with the Collal all-purpose glue again so that it's really nice and, you know, sort of rigid there. And then I've increased the size of the hole because the tag only had a little tiny hole, so I've used my crop-a-dial, increased the size of the hole, and I've just put a little gold brad in there just to not a brad, an eyelet in there, just to sort of add a bit of detail. So that's my base tag. Now I wanted to do a little bit of extra detail on it. Even though it's got stitch detail, I thought the white looked nice around this one, so I'm going to do the same on here, but I'm going to do it with the brown. So I've just been through my pens and grabbed one of my metallic marker pens here, and I am just going to go all the way around the edge of the tag here and add just a second row of like a stitching line. Again, you know, it's optional. You don't have to do this. It just adds a little bit more interest around the edge. And I'm just going to take that all the way around up to that side, and then we're going to come, try not to lean on it, and just take it round. So however you want to do it. And just add that little bit of extra detail in there. So just carry on down that edge. It just filled in a little bit of the space. And then I'm going to take it across the bottom. No right or wrong, I just tend to do dash, dash, dot, dot, dash, dash. It's a little bit like Morse code in there. There we go, that'll do. Okay, so that's that bit done. We'll leave that bit to dry. And then as far as the decoration on it there is concerned, I've got several bits and pieces. I have got my little pine needle die there, and I've cut 2 of those in some of my scrap green. So I've just gone for a sort of a pine colour with that. I've got my holly leaf there as well, and these are all from different sets. The holly leaves from a really old Crafter's Companion set called Poinsettia Perfection. I love the poinsettia and the holly leaves in this one. I use this one quite a lot. So that's from there. But any foliage that you've got, and I've cut a couple of the holly leaves out of some green. And then all I've done with these is just go round them with some of my ink, just to add a little bit of depth around the edge of the leaves. And I use my Rustic Wilderness with the little finger dauber there on that one. And then I've got a heart, and I've also got a tray. I think I showed you some of these before. I had these for Halloween, but I also picked up the Christmas set also from the works. I think they're a couple of £2, and there's all these different embellishments in here. So I actually used the little gingerbread man on this one and coloured him in with my alcohol markers because it had the gingerbread man on the pattern. I also went for the heart because it had got it on the pattern as well. But this time we've actually got the Christmas trees on the paper, so I thought, right, I'll actually go with one of the little Christmas trees, and I'm going to just show you quickly how I've coloured that in. And when I laid this onto the original design with the pine needles and the holly leaves, it got a bit lost, which is where I put the heart in. And I've die cut the heart and then just used a bit of the scrap paper. So this time I've die cut the heart and I've used a little bit of the brown paper, and we're going to have the green tree over the top. So these are the embellishments coming together. And then the last bit that I did was my sentiment, which I've just cut out of some gold. Let me take that bit off so that it's not reflecting. And I've just die cut the words Christmas cheer, and I've run that through my little sticky maker so that there was a sticky on the back good to go. And then the very last thing, I wanted a little bit of dimension, and these are just some that again I've had in my stash for a very long time, and I just wanted to add, you know, a little bit of dimension onto here. I popped a bit of the gold in this one, and what I'm going to do is wrap those together so that we've got like a little cluster of those, and I can always trim the end off if I need to there. I think it should be okay. So yeah, I just want to have these as a little 3 that can pop out of the edge of the design. So that's all my embellishments, nice and simple. We're going to pop some of them on with the what I call my embellishment glue, and I've got my hot glue gone on as well to add some of the pieces in place. I've got that at the side of me. So just before we go any further, I'm going to take that little bit of scrap, and my gingerbread man I coloured in with my tan blend, and I used the mid-tone from my tri-blend marker. And then I've just chosen a green one, and this is the Alpine green, and I'm going to use the middle one. And the little pieces of I don't know what you call them, chipboard, wooden veneer, whatever they are, literally straight onto it with the markers, and it just works a treat. So I'm just going to add this over the top. Now then, I've got a star on there. I think we'll get a gold to do the star, and you can see how that just coats it nicely. And then I usually go over it a couple of times. I am going to do the whole bit of the tree in the green. I know he's got a little stalk at the bottom there, a trunk should I say, but we'll do it all. And then I usually go back over it just to add a little bit of depth, because sometimes it can soak into the wood veneer there. So happy with that for the green. And then I think because we've got gold in the design, I should have that one's bronze. We need a gold one. Is that one gold? Yeah. So I've just got some metallic ones here, and I'm just going to do a little tiny bit over the star on the top there, because we've got a bit of gold in the tag. that'll go in nicely. And then I'll leave that one to dry for a second while we work on this. So I'm going to stick on the pine needles first. And again, I don't need a lot of glue for this. So I'm going to go to my acrylic glue here, my embellishment glue, and just pop some little dabs in a couple of places there. And I want to put one of them just so that it's slightly off the edge, not very far. And then I'm going to use my wax paper just to apply some pressure on there. And then we're going to do the same with the other section. So again, just a couple of little bits in places so that it's tacked down, because there's going to be a lot of bits and pieces on top of this. And then this one I want to come down to that other corner, so I just want tiny bits of it overlapping. And again, we're going to cover the middle, so I'm not too bothered what it looks like in the middle there. And then I'm going to do the same with the holly. So let's just move that one out of the way for a minute now. So I want some glue on the back of the holly leaves. And we're going to do a similar kind of just to the edge there. And again, I just find it much easier with the wax paper. It means it doesn't stick to me, it doesn't stick to the paper, but it allows me to apply any pressure that I need to put on to get that glue to adhere. Then we're going to go again towards the bottom, and I'm going to bring that one a little bit higher up here and pop that one in place. And then I want my little cluster is going to go to one side, and then the heart is going to sort of cover that. Now I just need to take a little bit, I think, off the bottom of there. So I'm just going to get my little snips and should be able to get some of that. It usually ends up pinging off somewhere in the craft room. There we go. Just take that bottom off there, so that it's not sticking out underneath the heart. And then I'm going to put a nice sort of splodge of the hot glue there, and then lay these into it here. So just being careful not to touch that glue with my fingers. And I've just got those levelled with the corner of the tag there. Okay, now I've just caught the glue there, but it's okay. And then this one's going to go over the top of there. So again, I want to put, let me just grab another glue stick because that one's running out. And we can pop that back in there. It's not quite yet. So what I want to do with this is pop a decent amount of glue on each side so that it sort of sits over that metal there. So we're going to put this at an angle, and then I'm just going to bend it slightly over that metal from the embellishments and hold that so that that glue grabs nicely. And then once that's started to cure, that's going to hold that in place now. Okay, and then we're going to start from the bottom with the sentiment. So I'm going to put the cheer right at the very bottom here, in the bottom corner, like so. Oops. Yep. And then we've got Christmas. So these have been popped through my Gemini to get rid of all the sticky tacky bits. And that one just stretches nicely from side to side on the tag there. And then I did keep in my pot very, very tiny little bit, which is called the tittle for the top of the eye. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. I thought I've got no chance of actually getting that through my sticky machine, so I'm just going to use a tiny dot of glue and my positioner there, and that's done the job for that one. And then the last thing that we've got to put on here is the little tree now. So again, I'm going to put some hot glue on the back of here at the bottom and a little bit in the top there, and then that should sit nicely on our heart. And again, I'm just going to hold it for a second or two until that glue grabs. There we go. Pop the lid back on here, and I think I'm going to stick with the twine because we're on that brown theme for the bases. Just going to cut a piece of twine, and this is going to come through the actual eyelet on the back here. So I'm going to pop that through. See if I can grab that at that side. And then all I do is usually open it up and pop this through the middle like so. And again, just give that a nice tighten, make sure it's secure. Perhaps don't need it quite that long. And then we've got our piece there to go on the reverse. Okay. Now I've just remembered I didn't actually stamp on the back of this one, which is going to be a bit tricky now, so I might have to put another layer on the back. On this one I actually used my to and from that you've seen me use before. I'd stamped that one before I got cracking with it, so I think it's going to be quite difficult to do that now. I might have to put another little piece on the back to hold that, because I think I'm going to be struggling to get, yeah, I don't have a flat enough surface, so I think all I'll do is just cut a little square and stick those on. I'd got them ready to do. I've got them on here all positioned, but I think I'm going to be struggling now to do you reckon we could do it? Shall we give it a go? Come on, you only live once, don't you? If worst case scenario, I can always stick another piece over the back. So yeah, a little bit of black ink, and what we're going to do is we're going to go for it. I'm going to position it on there like so, and then I'm going to pick it up so that I can apply a bit of pressure, and then keep everything crossed. Yeah, you would never know there, would you? Phew! That was a bit of a telltale moment there. As I say, worst case scenario, if it hadn't have worked, I'd have just cut another tag and popped it on the back. But yeah, we've got our to and from on the back there. So I'm just aware that that is a pigment ink now, so I just need to let it dry for a second. And then all I'll do is clip that with the office clip again onto the top there, so that we've got our bag. So yeah, I quite like those. I like them in the opposite colours. I think they look really nice. So those are two that I could be using for some of my Christmas presents. I've not decided, probably end up with chocolate in or something like that for the family. So that one I think wants to go more, yeah, in the middle there like that. So yeah, I quite like those. So we've got the one with the gingerbread in the background and the little gingerbread embellishment, and then this one I'd got lots to choose from. I just married it up with what was in the little wooden embellishments here. I could have gone with the star. We've got a star on there. We've got a snowflake on there. I just thought the little tree was cute, and there's a couple of different designs in here for the tree. There's a snowman in there as well. There's the stag or the reindeer, an angel. There's all sorts. They're really useful. I have these. I've got a little drawer that's got wooden embellishments in. The only thing that I haven't done is add on this one. I've added 2 or 3 little gems as well, which I may stick on. I might pop those on. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed that one. Nice and easy, I think, that one. It's a fairly easy bag to have in your sort of arsenal of crafting. If you need something really quick, it's an easy one to put together. Like I say, you don't have to have the clip on the top. You could punch holes in it and thread the twine through, or thread ribbon through for the fastener. Yeah, lots of different ways. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed that one. I think we're on project number 9, if I remember rightly, out of 12. So not that many left to go now. We don't have long until Christmas. And then once we get into the new year, I need to get my thinking cap on again. So hope you've enjoyed it. Consider giving it a thumbs up for me, and I'll be back very, very soon with my next project for you in my Christmas 12 Days of Christmas 2024 series. So see you soon.